Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John, and today we need to talk about brand new music from two members of Linkin Park, those being Chester Bennington with the band Grey Daze, his first ever band actually, and Mike Shinoda with Dropped Frames Volume 1, his second studio release. He's of course been streaming on Twitch a lot, and it really just seemed right to cover these both in the same video because just after Grey Daze dropped their newly recorded album Amends, at least the instrumentals and the collaborations are new, we had Mike announcing his second album, a compilation if you will, of all of his Twitch streams, everything that he's been working on, so I figured why not? Two birds, one stone. I hope that you can understand why I'm covering them both in the same video. It's not that either didn't deserve a dedicated review, it's just that one lent itself to be talked about more than the other, and I figured why not just kind of combine worlds here because, of course, Mike and Chester were both in Linkin Park. They were brothers in the band and in real life friends. I don't think any toes are gonna get stepped on here. Chester is up first, so let's talk about his first band, Grey Daze, and their newly finished album, Amends. All of the vocals we're hearing were recorded in the 1990s, since these are actually all reworked versions of songs that appeared on their first two albums that, get this, came out in the 90s. Call me a fake Chester fan all you want, but I'd never actually heard any of these songs before, not a single one, so I kind of feel like the fan that got into the movie before the book, and while everyone else could potentially be triggered by the changes in source material, I went in cold and tried to have an unbiased mind. I'll probably go back and hear the old album someday, but not today, so let's skip right into Amends. Believe it or not, I've had this full album in my possession since January. The publicist sent it my way and I did download it, not knowing that the album was about to get delayed from the original April Street date, meaning I had the final versions 5 months before this thing even went out to the public. Like a dummy, I never actually got around to listening in those 5 months. Blame COVID or something, I don't know. I kept thinking to myself, I need to do this, I need to hear this, but suddenly I woke up and it was 5 months later. But I did get to it the week it dropped in. I wasn't exactly impressed right away. Maybe a car ride wasn't the best place to take in this powerful outing for the first time, but by round 2, the beauties of this record led by Chester Bennington's unmistakable voice became a lot more apparent. While I do think they overstepped some of the production boundaries on a handful of songs and attempted to make them modern sounding to the point of exasperation, I have to give it up to whoever mixed and remastered Chester's vocals for Amends. They sound fantastic, striking, and poignant, almost as if they were recorded in modern times, which makes me even more sad, remembering that this isn't fresh material and that he's been gone for 3 years. This is just a trip back in time to appreciate his legacy that began so long ago. He's of course going to be talked about more than any other member in the band, and I think the rest of Grey Daze know and accept that. They're gracious with their playing here, but don't mind taking a step out of the spotlight so that fans can bask in the glow of songs that so many new fans haven't even heard before. I don't want to call any of these guys replaceable, or even any of the guests that show up here, but let's be honest. You've got 3 main members that you could swap out and someone else could learn their parts and blend in no problem. Chester Bennington, though, you cannot replace a voice that unique. Sickness opens up the record with a raw vocal intensity that blends the world between Chester's time in Linkin Park musically with a very 90s feeling that still hits hard despite the updated arrangements. The warped bass line puts itself in the heart of the track during the more suspenseful skeletal verses, dropping the hammer fully once we reach that bone-chilling chorus that honestly really did wow me. I mean, he wasn't even 20 years old and he was getting this kind of vocal takes? Just like Heroin is another wrecking ball that I'm absolutely loving on Amends, starting off with enough intrigue to have you wondering what's next before tearing into your heart with those heavy-hitting vocals. There's such a good blend of beauty and anger, and I really can't get the hook out of my head with its searing guitars and gentle backing vocals that overlay perfectly. Flash back a bit and we've got the lead single that let us know this project was happening, What's in the Eye. Not even gonna try and hide it, I cried a little bit the first time I heard this song. Chester's voice is a fucking brutal gut punch as he cries out on this track with advice that says, "Don't go too fast, my friend, or you'll lose control." I know that we wish he was still here, but God, this one just makes it that much harder knowing what a genuinely good but tortured soul he was. So much in his life led him to these moments, and I know that he never had it easy, and tracks like this just put it all on the line. Those personal demons flare up all over this record, and of course, I'm aware that he didn't write all of the songs alone. I guess I'm just kind of pointing out that the almost foreboding lyrics seem to fit Chester's life and story so well, even if he didn't write all of them. One that he did write that I had trouble connecting with, however, was B12, something that he wrote at age 12. I'm not even kidding. I just made the correlation in my head. B12, the vitamin, and he was 12 years old at the time. I get it. One listen through this song will definitely make you question some of the more irritating, repetitive elements, but it's sort of kinda grown on me slightly. I mean, I still can't sit here and sing the praises of this one. The trappy drums feel so pointless and hollow, and I don't even like Chester's approach with this one vocally. But it's not what I'd call forgettable, so I guess you can take that as you please. Soul Song did a great job at gently gliding in a pensive atmosphere that lets everyone in the band shine. The Syndrome bleeds black from the depths of hopelessness that should be right up the alley of any Linkin Park fan. Then you've got Morei Sky that admittedly does feel overproduced but still has a lot of heart. And of course the 2020 anthem from the 90s actually, Sometimes, that feels split between the dark and the light, being positive but also pessimistic and aware. The last one I'll mention by name is another one of my headbang-worthy go-tos that practically erupts with the exact kind of passion that put any project Chester was a part of on the map for good damn reason. He sounds phenomenal here as we see a desperate man that's been lied to, trying to keep his head above water as the drums thunder away against a sea of roaring guitars. Killer stuff, again, exactly what I was looking for from this Grey Daze reunion album. Amends just kept growing on me the more I sat with it, and of course, I'm a huge fan of Chester's artistry if that hasn't already been made abundantly clear. It's a great closing chapter for something that he very clearly wanted to be a part of, and that's exactly why this is so different from other posthumous releases. Chester was back with these guys in 2017 planning this, and now that the re-recorded passages are finally here, I'm giving the album a really strong 4, borderline 4.5, but there are some production issues and a few cliches that took me a bit out of the experience, but let's move on to Mike Shinoda. The other lead vocalist of Linkin Park has been keeping himself busy as hell during quarantine, streaming almost daily on Twitch and creating art pieces and songs along the way with the input of fans. It's a really cool process, and while I haven't had the time to check in for much of it at all, I respect the hustle. I'm just not that much of a stream watcher or a podcast tuner-inner for that matter. Judging by the progress he was making based on the stream highlights popping up in my feed, I assumed new music would be out sooner rather than later, and what do you know? Here's Dropped Frames Volume 1 arriving right on our doorstep. I didn't read a single thing about it before hitting play, outside of knowing that some of his fans were appearing on some of the tracks, at least that's what I was led to believe, so maybe that's why I was so underwhelmed on my first listen, because this thing's like hella instrumental only, y'all, outside of the first song, Open Door. Don't get it twisted, I can totally dig instrumental songs or albums. I even got some Glitch Mob vibes from a few of this record's best tracks like Super Galaxtica, which does a superb job at building and building, almost coming out like the love child of an act like the Glitch Mob and some Linkin Park underground instrumentals, or even something like Session from Meteora where Joe Hahn got a chance to shine. The problem comes in the sense that this really wasn't built for much more than showing off the finished products of his studio session stream tinkerings. That's fine for the hardcore fans that have tuned in for those, and they'll definitely appreciate the hell out of seeing these final products come together, but there's a reason why Mike dropped this independently without the help of his label Warner Bros. This doesn't feel like much more than background music to chill out to, and even then, it's not even graduating at the top of its class for that category. I guess I could see myself zooming back to a few of the more musically complex or interesting cuts like the two I already mentioned, the first two on the album, alongside, say, Channeling Part 1, which had the help of drummer Dan Mayo, but the longer this goes on, the more I just find myself a bit too relaxed, like I'm having trouble focusing even though it's not even close to being bad. Well, I say that, but obviously the joke track Booty Down is a bit of a dorky troll move, and it totally missed the landing for me. It's in this purgatory between classic meme and dumb joke that no one would exactly like, but maybe it's so bad it's good. It's neither of those things. It's just there, and it ends the record on 50 seconds of waiting for the end to come, and that kind of sucks considering I really thought he had a nice spacey atmosphere brewing on the 3 tracks that came before it, with my favorite of those being Babble Bobble. Maybe I already let the cat out of the bag, I said 3 just a second ago, but yeah, I'm rating Dropped Frames Volume 1 a 3. Open Door is excellent, and Mike's rapping here is in top form. I've got no qualms there or with the numerous guests that sang all over that piece. It worked out brilliantly. But the rest of the record might come as a disappointment for those wanting Mike to be a little bit more involved vocally, and I will readily admit that I'm in that camp. So what did you guys think about the new records from Chester Bennington's first band, Grey Daze, Amends, and also Dropped Frames Volume 1 by Mike Shinoda? Which one is better in your books, and which one really has you hooked? Let me know in the comments section down below. If you want to see more Linkin Park themed videos, then tap this playlist card right here. Tap here for another recent review. Find me on social media at all of the links that you see down below. Rest in peace, Chester. It is hard to believe it's been almost 3 years, but I'm so happy to see the music still having an impact on new generations, and I will see you soon for more on ARTV.